Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today we are continuing the fan fiction that we were reading on the other podcast, the former podcast. It was really interesting, and even though the podcast is no more, I did want to continue to do it. So today we are going to continue it. If you are new and you haven't and you need to catch up, the podcast you can find it. It's called The Quest for the Lost Souls. Um it's really interesting so far. We are on chapter 23, so let's just get straight into it. Let's just move up. All right. It says Littlefoot, Sarah, Ducky, and Spike, although not yet out of sight of the valley, had come a fair way. It had been over a month since they had last left the valley, and each was starting to feel slightly worried. Sarah, of course, was desperate to hide it. They had already been traveling for a few hours and had put a fair amount of distance between them and the valley. As they walked, Ducky, perched on Spike's back as usual, watched the skies tirelessly, waiting for Petrie to appear and join them. She shook her head, forcing herself to keep her mind on the task. All was the one in trouble. Allie was the one in trouble, not Petrie. At that moment, Petrie had just cleared the walls of the valley and was steadily making his way towards the others. He was very frustrated about the ordeal to come. Sure, he wanted to help a friend in trouble. Who wouldn't? But he also wanted to save the lost souls from their imprisonment. Serrano had been doing well before Petrie joined in, but since Ark's death, there would now be only him and Rex. Petrie sighed to himself. He just hoped this adventure would not take too long. He flew along the ledge of the mountain, which the others would be walking along. So absorbed was he in his thoughts. He failed to spot a large green tail disappear around the corner. Inside the valley, Littlefoot's grandparents were starting to wake up. It took them but a few seconds to realize that their grandson was missing. "Where is he?" Grandpa asked in frustration as he searched through the nearby bushes. "Calm down, dear," his mate said soothingly. "He probably went off early to play with his friends. We'll ask their families later." Grandma had made an unarguable decision, but both Longnecks were secretly worried that their grandson may yet again have embarked on another one of his wild adventures. Up in the mountains, everyone was trying to keep as far from the edge as possible. As they walked, a small segment of rock ahead of them gave way and collapsed, leaving a gap that would have to jump over. "Well, at least it can't get any worse, right?" Littlefoot asked, wearing a fake smile. As if to prove him wrong, the sharp-toothed Petrie had been so close to earlier now came charging around the corner, ready for a hunt. Sarah gave Littlefoot a look of accusation. Why did you have to say that?" she asked him. "Well, at least now it can't get any worse," he defended himself. Alas, again he was wrong. Another large beast, this time a gray sharp-tooth, leapt down to them from a higher path. "Oh, you have got to be kidding me," Littlefoot cried in disbelief. "Please do not say things cannot get worse again," Ducky yelled to Littlefoot. Giving into terror, the 4 dinosaurs hurried to the newly created hole in the path and jumped over it. But Sharp Teeth do not give up that easily. Both monsters jumped over the gap and gave chase. Screaming for dear life, the young leaf eaters forced themselves onwards, not wanting to think about what would happen if they took too long. As they hurried along, Sarah noticed a small path leading up to the higher ledge. On the ledge was a large rock. If she could get up there, there was a chance she could push it down onto the shark teeth, just as she and the others had done many times before. You guys keep going that way. I have a plan, she called to them. Littlefoot looked at her. What are you going to do? He asked. No time to explain. She yelled, and with that, she veered to the left and headed up the pathway. No, wait. Littlefoot tried to stop her, but she was already gone. Oh well, he thought. May as well see what she has in mind. Keeping one eye on her and one eye on the path ahead, he and Spike continued to run while Ducky shouted encouragement to them. Up on the ridge, Sarah walked until the green shark tooth was almost underneath her and then started to push her great strength against the boulder. It was heavier than she had expected, but she was determined not to give up. If I don't do this, the others will be sharp-tooth bait. She summoned more strength, but still, the rock seemed to be just crawling to the edge. She took a deep breath and rammed the rock with one mighty push, and finally it went down, smashing into other stones which protruded from the cliff face. It struck its target, striking the beast on the back of the neck. It stumbled and fell over the side of the ledge off the mountain. One down, she thought grimly. On the lower level, Littlefoot, Spike, and Ducky still had one sharp tooth left to contend with. To make matters worse, they were trapped on the edge. The terrifying creature let out a blood-curdling roar and charged towards them. Quick, this way, Littlefoot yelled to Spike, and they ran to the side, letting the shark tooth head over the ledge by accident. Ha! Thick as a clubtail's back, Littlefoot thought triumphantly. But his happiness was short-lived. As the monster fell, its tail accidentally lashed and knocked Ducky off her perch on Spike's back. Ducky! Littlefoot cried out as he and Spike watched helplessly as she fell to her doom. When Sarah arrived, she noticed right away that Ducky was missing. Littlefoot told her what had happened, and the three of them sat there in silence, weeping for their friend. Their mourning was halted by the sounds of wings flapping. One by one, they looked over to the ledge and were filled with joy to see Petrie hovering there, holding Ducky in his talons. Ducky, Petrie, Littlefoot and Sarah both cried. Petrie lowered Ducky, who was wearing an exhausted yet happy grin, onto the ledge, safe and sound. Me can't you guys for half a day, Petrie joked. What would you be without Petrie? I'd be content and happy, Sarah joked back, and they laughed as Spike licked Ducky again and again and again. At last, all five of them were together. Meanwhile, Allie was continuing to struggle through the forest. As she approached a small clearing, she brushed against a tree and let out a cry of pain as one sharp branch cut into her skin, reopening the wound. Not again, she said. Worried that this may double her difficulty in reaching the valley, she decided to find a place to rest. Ahead of her was a small pond. On the far side of it lay a few boulders, which were arranged in such a way they left a small opening between them, which was covered by water reeds. As she dragged her hurt leg towards the small cave, rain fell through the clearing, easing her pain. She reached the pond's edge and sighed in relief as she sank into the water, soothing her pain even more. She slowly swam over to the cave and crawled inside. This is just getting worse and worse, she thought sadly as she laid down gently, facing the water. She lapped at the water for a little and then rested her head on her forelegs. As the sound of the rain drumming on the cave's roof started to lull her into sleep, she wondered, not for the first time, if she would ever see her friends again. And that's going to do it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back next time with another episode. And until then, please, please be nice to each other. Bye, guys.